let's just be frank. Women have become too mouthy.
Do you ever feel that modern women are just getting a little too mouthy? Well, there's a Republican candidate who certainly does. His name is Royce White. He's a former pro basketball player. He happens to be black, which is relevant in the sense that you'd think he would remember when it was said that, hey, you know, some of these black folks are getting a little uppity, wanting rights and respect, and repeating essentially the same sort of criticism about women, these mouthy women who are saying things. Now, I'm going to say right up front, there are people who wrote to me about Royce White. He's running against Amy Klobuchar in Minnesota, and said, David, this guy's clearly mentally ill. You can't talk about him. He doesn't know what he's saying. He's having a psychotic event. It's just, you know, you can't talk about him. I hate to say this, but a lot of the modern Republican Party probably qualifies as mentally ill if they were to sit down to the mental health professional. But there are people voting for these people. So what? We can't talk about them because they may be experiencing manic episodes, psychotic events. I'm going to tell you in a moment the long list of things that Royce White has said. And yes, many of them do seem like paranoid delusions. Here he is speaking to Steve Bannon. I mean, listen, if he's speaking to Bannon, we have to be able to cover the conversation with Bannon. And here he is saying, you know, these women, they've become mouthy, too mouthy.
Continuing was to say culture issues as a code word for rube, white, rural, Christian, heterosexual, male, nationalist, that are just focused on their wives being too mouthy, sir.
Yeah. Well, look, let's just be frank. Women have become too mouthy. As the black man in the room, I'll say that. I don't know whether we're talking white men or Asian men or black men or so on and so forth. But no, I mean, I'm serious. I mean, the thing that is scary about it, and I say this, and people will go, "Oh,
hold it. Can I officially say that Joy Reid's Black Girl Magic does not work with Royce White? Can we just, I just want to make sure. Don't take it from me. I just want Royce to say it.
Dog. You know you're going to send me off. You go to Joy Reid and she's wearing a white woman's wigs. You're going to piss me off this afternoon. I'm having a beautiful day without thinking about that scam. But what I'll say is, you know, you take a operation like the Rockefeller Foundation and their grassroots fundamental support and sponsorship of the early women's rights movement and their involvement with the inception of the Federal Reserve and the ability of the Federal Reserve to tax the American working class twice with the insertion of women into the workplace. Now, I know we could look at World War II and say, hey, women had to step into the workplace because of the war. But when you look at the inception of the war, there might have been an economic incentive there as well. So, I mean, these things have a history. And the people like Joy Reid, they're banking.
Wow. So not only, I mean, it's like there's the headline about women have become too mouthy, but then there's this whole apparatus that he believes explains why it is that women have become mouthy as a result of entering the workforce, which only happened because of X, which was perpetuated by Y. This is a guy who is off the rails. This is the alternative to Amy Klobuchar. He has gravitated towards people like Alex Jones and Louis Farrakhan and Steve Bannon. He has made other outrageous statements about women. He's talked about the Jewish lobby. He's attacked the LGBTQ movement. I guess he liked Tulsi in 2020, Tulsi Gabbard, but now he likes Trump. And he says he's clarified. He seems to go after Jews a lot, but he often will clarify my comments about Jews should only apply to so-called Jewish elites, not regular Jews. And he wraps up stuff about the CIA with Jews and central banking with Jews. So listen, I don't really know how we should interpret the words of someone that many vote to me and say, David, this guy is mentally ill and we've got to be careful because he's just paranoid, delusional. I think that we need to look at this from a strategy standpoint. And I don't know that for the right, sustaining themselves on these sort of bigots from every racial background, I don't know that there's future success for the Republican Party with this sort of candidate. It's an uphill battle against Amy Klobuchar for sure, but it's another reason to vote, right? If you're a woman who doesn't think women have become too mouthy, or if you're a man that disagrees women have become too mouthy, then this is an opportunity to say, hey, I'm going to vote for Amy Klobuchar here. 40% of women who vote Republican. Why? Especially after everything we've seen with Roe v. Wade over the last several years, going all the way back to Trump winning 2016, getting 3 Supreme Court justices, et cetera. Now, if you like this perspective, if you like the perspective of we should make it so that government decides what medical services women can have, we should have people in power who, instead of being women, say women have become too mouthy, there's an option for you. It's a very clear option, but know what you're voting for if and when you choose to go into the voting booth and vote for that. So there it is, Royce White, the latest unhinged MAGA type candidate, and getting the full treatment from Steve Bannon. And by the full treatment, I don't mean the dressing down. I mean the building up as if this is a normal guy. This is not a normal candidate. It is time to start thinking like voters and to make sure that kids understand the importance of voting, how it works, registering, ballot initiatives, because so many kids just have no idea. That's why I wrote the new children's book, Think Like a Voter. I can think of no better time and no more important group of folks to try to reach. The book is now available at davidpakman.com/book, where, by the way, you can get the first 2 books in the series as well. Think Like a Detective and Think Like a Scientist. Really important stuff. Donate them to local libraries, classrooms, read them with the kids. davidpakman.com/book.